Good evening, Himanshu sir. I hope I'm audible, dear.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening,
So, how was your exam?
ma'am. Okay, if I talk about my exam, I'll start with the listening section first. So
Okay.
they were, 50% were, I think 45% are multiple choice questions in my exam, and there is no map
Okay.
and nothing is there, and one word answer the most.
Uh-huh.
So this is, and passage number 2 and 3 are the lightest. If I say it was not hardest, but they are, at the medium level.
Okay.
And the reading section was easy for me because I'm able to complete my task within the allotted time. And
Okay.
I think I'm done the half task in around 20 minutes or so.
Okay. Great.
And if I talk about my writing section, the essay part looks too easy for me.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Later part is, little, मैं क्या बोलूं, हटके था थोड़ा सा, मतलब it's not that we are doing
Okay. So,
everything.
क्या topics थे writing task 1 or 2 के?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sharing to you. I have already removed that.
Yeah.
Just give me a moment. I'll share in the WhatsApp link.
Fine, sir. We'll love to. Yeah. Good evening, Urvashi ma'am. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good, dear. Good evening, Raj sir.
He's just away. Himanshu sir, can you please share your, exam paper in the group?
Urvashi?
I don't have exam paper with me, but I can let you know how the reading and listening were there, and I already shared the writing topics with the ma'am.
Himanshu
So
sir, I'm going to share it in the group.
yes, ma'am, no
Yes.
issues, no issues.
Yeah.
So, for me, the letter was the difficult part to do, rather than the essay.
You have recently found an object and you think that it might be of some historical value. Write a letter to the director of the museum asking for some information on the object. Give a description of the object. Yeah, थोड़ा सा ये formal letter है sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I wrote as a formal only, but I included, some coin I have found uh, in the museum, and it resembles me of historical type of thing, and I have written like that the essay.
Okay, okay. All right, fine.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, Raj sir. How are you?
Good, ma'am. Sorry, from last couple of days, we are not able to send you the home task. Was busy in office activities actually.
I can make out, sir. Must be busy all day. Yeah.
The one thing I would like to say to all of you, it's if you send the regular task for your evaluation, it would be better for you, and you can perform well in the exam. Because I'm not already every day, but day after day, I'm sending a task for evaluation to ma'am, and I got a positive feedback. But the essay that I got in the exam, I think it's an easy one to do. So there were a
Right,
lot
sir.
of points to be discussed in that.
Mm-hmm.
Just remain focused in the exam, because I was I was little worried when my exam started. My heartbeat was pumping at that time, but when I settled in, it was okay for me.
Himanshu sir, nervousness तो होती है ना? You
No, ma'am,
really feel
no, I sat, I think 1.5 hour ideally. I'm not doing anything there, so they called
okay.
around 11:30, and the exam starts at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You have your speaking tomorrow, right?
yes, ma'am, yes.
All right, let's begin up from speaking only. We are waiting for everyone to drop in. So we can always begin up with speaking. Sir, I'll be giving you speaking part 1 as well today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Right? I'll be asking you some questions from speaking part 1 also. Meanwhile, just read out this cue card. I'll try to take up a session properly for you speaking. I might be skipping writing task today because otherwise it will become too lengthy. And everyone will get a hint of it as how to perform in speaking part 1, 2, and 3, right? So this is for everybody. Please read out the question and just prepare yourself for the cue card. Good evening, Gurpreet ma'am.
Good evening.
Gurpreet ma'am, please prepare yourself for the cue card and I'll ask you in some time.
Okay, ma'am.
हिमांशु सर, जस्ट वन थिंग आई वांट टू आस्क यू, आपको कौन सा पार्ट सबसे डिफिकल्ट लगा एग्जाम में? कोई आपको आया कि ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट है और ये मैं कर नहीं सकता हूँ?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. I mean, if you are well prepared for your exam, I mean, it's everything is easy for you. But listening, I can say वो थोड़ा सा tricky था, क्योंकि मेरे को ना तो मैथ्स आए, मेरे को मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चन बहुत ज्यादा आए थे उसमें, और वन वर्ड आंसर्स थे सारे. तो
सारे
आई थिंक
ट्रू और फॉल्स नॉट गिवन नहीं
ट्रू फॉल्स नॉट गिवन मेरे
थे?
को बस रीडिंग सेक्शन में ही आते वो ना. तो वो एक ही 6, आई थिंक 7 to 8 क्वेश्चन थे वो, लेकिन रीडिंग थोड़ा सा इजी था मेरे लिए ना.
ओके.
रीडिंग में ज़्यादा, बट make sure I mean I'm able to complete my writing task in 30 minutes. So just writing my conclusion the last minute that are left for me, and I did the revision also what I have wrote in the exam. So just make sure, I mean, you are quick enough to understand the topic and don't spend much of the time. बस यही है, मतलब मैं इजी था थोड़ा सा,
ओके.
बोल सकते हैं आज का. बाकी पता नहीं, और अलग अलग सेंटर्स पे अलग अलग क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो ये जो था मेरे सेंटर का था.
ओके. ओके. थैंक यू सो मच सर. थैंक यू.
नो प्रॉब्लम.
Yes, Himanshu, so shall we begin?
Ma'am, just give me a minute. I mean, I'm just preparing right now.
Okay.
Just give me.
No worries.
Yes, ma'am, I'm starting right now.
All right. Just give me a moment, Himanshu sir. Himanshu sir, will that be okay if I begin from speaking part 1, or do you want me to allow you for the cue card first and then you want to go back to speaking part one?
Ma'am, you can start. I mean, like it was there in the exam. That would be better.
Parveen ma'am, meanwhile, you can prepare for the cue card. I'll ask you in some time. Good evening, dear. Yes, Himanshu. So to begin with, I'll be asking you some questions from speaking part one.
Okay,
Sir,
ma'am.
could you please tell me your full name, please?
My first name is Himanshu and my family name is that, and you can call me by my first name Himanshu.
Okay. Can you tell me where are you from?
I'm from Delhi, which is the capital of India, and it's a big city. And there are around three 3 crore in population, and there were many monument places. Uh, as we are in the as I live in the historical part of India.
Fine. Can I please see your identification? And then they'll begin up, right? These are the common set of questions that they'll be asking.
Yes.
One thing I like to tell you that give short factual answers as these questions will not be assessed. So
Okay,
be
ma'am.
as brief as you can.
Okay,
Another
ma'am.
thing, when I asked you your full name, you give me your full name because next question, normally they ask, what shall I call you?
Okay, ma'am.
They'll ask you, what shall I call you? So yes, you can always tell them beforehand also, but you can always wait because this is the question they'll be asking you after that, that what shall I call you? And then you can always say that you can call me Himanshu or whichever the name you want them to call
Okay.
you with, like.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, sir. So coming to the speaking part one, this was till now it was an introductory warming up session. Coming to speaking part one. So do you live in a small town or a big city?
It's a big city since it's a national capital of India. So there were many occupations and there were many markets in my hometown where I'm staying right now. And
Fine. So would you like to move to another city if given a chance?
I spent my whole of my life in Delhi. So I not think to move to another city if I'm asked to do so, like my work permits to go anywhere in to another city, so I can move to Pune or Bangalore because most of my friends were staying there only.
So what people do for fun in your city? What do people do for fun in your city?
There were many historical places in my city and amusement parks. There were a lot of malls and other activities like people enjoy. In my city, most of the people on Saturdays and Sundays went to malls to buy clothes for them and to enjoy uh, some time for their with the family or with the friends. And some people like to go to cafes very much. And these people are uh, youngsters.
Okay, so let's talk about clothes. What kind of clothes do you like to wear?
Uh, I love to wear simple jeans and casual clothes as much as possible. Uh, if I'm going to work, so I have to wear some formal clothes because we are asked to wear formal clothes in the office. And if I'm going out, I love to wear jeans and t-shirt because uh, it's I can I'm comfortable in that particular type of clothing only.
Okay, so how often do you go for shopping for clothes?
I love to go for shopping once a week or twice in a month because I I think that rather to spend money for clothing, I can enjoy my life. I can enjoy my life with my friends in by going in a restaurants, a good restaurant to have a great food over there.
Sir, has your style of clothing changed in recent years?
Like when I grown up, earlier I was wearing a uh, nick, small shorts and t-shirts, but nowadays I love to wear jeans and but long pants to see myself change, to see a change in myself.
Okay, so about health, do you believe in staying healthy and eating healthy?
Yes, I'm very much a healthier person because I'm a gym freak and I decide what to eat decide what to eat before taking anything. I calculate the calories, whether it's good calories for me or not, and I love to maintain myself throughout the year. So I think this is something really important for me.
All right. So, what do you do to have a healthier lifestyle?
Uh, Sorry, ma'am.
What will you do to have a healthier lifestyle?
I every day go to gym when I woke up after my
Okay.
and it's my daily routines, and I prepare some dishes for myself to uh, to get the complete nutrition. And
Mhm.
my gym trainer also suggested me few things to change in my lifestyle.
All right. Fine, Himanshu sir. Till here you went pretty well. थोड़ी बहुत errors थी, बहुत minute. Tenses का जरूर ध्यान रखना है. It's very important when we are talking of something in the present. It will go in the present tense only, first form of the verb or SES. And if you are
Okay,
talking of something in the past, then only you will pick up the past tense.
okay,
Right?
ma'am.
Keep a good care of that. Apart
Okay,
from
ma'am.
that, everything was good. थोड़ी सी हैसल थी
Ma'am,
बीच में बट बहुत ज्यादा नहीं थी बहुत ज्यादा
Okay,
नहीं
ma'am.
थी
one point I also observed,
यस
at least in the areas of dress, when you asked about dressing part, he
सर
should have started something like I usually dressed up according to the situation,
एग्जैक्टली
and
you're right
something like he should have started like that,
yeah
because then accordingly he can build up his answer.
Himanshu sir, a very good strategic strategy that sir is sharing. That
Yes, ma'am.
when
Yes,
talked about dressing sense, you can always say that you love to wear, you love to change the clothings according to the situation. You love to get dressed up according to the situation. And yes, the dressing sense has changed a lot. When I was younger, I preferred more casual clothing, like I would love wearing shorts and all. But right now, right these days, I prefer to wear jeans. I feel more comfortable in that.
okay,
No,
ma'am.
this way your answer will be more crisp. Here, I like to just take a bit of pause and tell you there are certain questions that they may ask. I'm not saying that they will ask, but they may ask certain questions wherein you will have to take a breath and you'll have to take a thought. For example, they may ask, what do you think about life? Now, these kind of questions are abstract questions. Normally, they don't ask such type of questions, but in case they do ask, in case they ask certain questions like what do you think of life, or giving a deeper thought on something which is not normally been thought of, so you can always buy time from them. And how will you do that? Rather than staying ekdam quiet रहने से better है, you can always keep interacting with them a bit. You can tell them that this is pretty uh, different kind of question, or you can always say that you have never given it a thought, but now when you're asking, sir, I think this is time that I should think that what life is all about and what is the basic philosophy of life and all that. And then you can continue with that. अभी आपने क्या किया कि you have very strategically connected to them, you have filled up the vacuum very easily, and you have told them that you are still thinking, you are in the way of the thought process while you will be giving them the answer to the question. Got that? अगर कोई क्वेश्चन ऐसा है जहां पे वो साइकोलॉजिकल टिकलिंग करते हैं, तो उसमें यू विल नॉट जस्ट बी क्वाइट, ब्लैंक नहीं होना बिल्कुल भी. इट्स ओके, you can take some time, you can talk to them, you can ask them to give a bit of time, just a second or two. बहुत ज्यादा नहीं लेना है, but just a second or two you can buy time from them, right? Just because you want to take a breath and you want to understand what the question is all about. Is this okay, sir?
Okay, ma'am.
I hope I'm audible here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, okay. So, part two will be your cue card content. Just make sure कि आप वो क्यू कार्ड्स करके उसको 60 seconds का टाइमर लगा के देखें कि आप 60 seconds में कितने points लिख पाते हैं. Make it sure to do it, right? And after that, just speak up a bit for 120 seconds. Make it very short. जब तक वो नहीं रोकेंगे आप अपना कंटिन्यू रखेंगे. आप बोलेंगे
Oh,
जब तक वो
okay.
आपको रोके नहीं.
Okay,
और
ma'am.
पार्ट थ्री जो है स्पीकिंग पार्ट थ्री जो है स्पीकिंग पार्ट टू तो आपका क्यू कार्ड का हो जाएगा ना. स्पीकिंग पार्ट थ्री जो है जनरली इट्स नेवर अबाउट यू, इट्स मोर और लेस अबाउट द क्यू कार्ड और द रिलेटेड टॉपिक्स टू दैट.
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. So now is the cue card turn. If you are ready, you can begin. Else, you can take a minute, you can think, and you can speak.
I mean, I'm ready. I already wrote all the points that I.
All right. Yeah, begin, begin.
I love driving, and the best part was the long drive. I of I went to many places to like Shimla, Dharamshala, Darjeeling, uh, Kasol, Leh Ladakh, via car, and this was the best part that I enjoyed throughout my journey. So the best long drive that I enjoyed was a trip to Dharamshala. It was a last minute plan with my four friends because we are not decided where to go. We just sat in the car and suddenly we make a plan to went to Himachal, and there we went to Dharamshala, and after that above 10 kilometer there's another place called McLeodganj. So we went there. It was in 2017 March, and the summer is nearby, and we want to see the beauty of Himachal in winters. So this was the best time we can visit to this place, the McLeodganj. So, and the weather was okay for me because in Delhi it was a hot period of time. So we thought that it would be better we should go in a cold place like McLeodganj. So we drove all the night, four of us, and I enjoy driving long trips. Uh, and we went to some of the places in McLeodganj. There was a track a, at that place, and it was a 7 kilometers, and it takes around 4 hours to reach up to the top. Since the weather was lovely and we don't feel tiredness, but we take few breaks while we are going up. And the trickiest part was the track that there was a lot of rocks which are not easy to go up. And but after taking some of the breaks, we went up there and we enjoy the nature when we see whole Dharamshala and McLeodganj from at a level of, I think, 10,000 feet from the surface. So it was
All
my
right, sir. Thank
best
you so
trip.
much. Thank you so much, Himanshu sir. It was really a pleasure listening to you regarding your long drive. So, when you drive, how cautious you are? Like, do you drive fast or do you drive in control? What kind of what's the kind of driving do you do?
I sometimes assess the situation whether if I'm getting late, so I'll drive fast, but I make sure that I wear my seat belt, and the person who is sitting next to me should feel safer than me. I normally drive. Uh, I normally drive like a normal driver used to drive at a speed of around 50 kilometers. and I'm not always in a hurry to go anywhere because I manage my time like that, so I reach to the place uh, at a given time.
So, if given a choice, which place will you like to explore, driving all by yourself?
If given a choice, I would like to go to the Leh Ladakh because I heard that many people work go on a bike. I went there on a tempo traveler, but it was a good journey for me, and it was stressful in the tempo traveler. But I heard that the people who drive on who rode on a bike, they get a company of other peoples also, and they reach their destination within a 2 day. And I can also judge myself by driving by rode a bike on a hilly area.
All right. So, do you think that younger people drive better than the older people?
uh, uh, it's a tricky question for me, but I think it depends on an individual how they are driving in their early age. Like old people drive carefully, they think of the family also. Younger people nowadays, like teenagers who did not got their license, they drive a car faster than the other people. They think that they want to show off while driving to their girlfriends or to their families that they can drive better than themselves.
Fine, fine. So, who taught you driving?
It was my small brother who taught me driving. I- it was like that. He used to drive my father's car when he was 17 years old, and at that time I was 19 years old. So he taught me. He tells me do how to do back, and then he let me know how we can press the escalators and how we can look at the mirrors of the side and look in front, and we can drive that way. So it was
Fine, fine.
almost 10 years we are driving together now.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Himanshu, sir.
Thank
If
you.
I have to assess you, I'll give you 7.5. Errors थी, tenses की errors थी बीच में.
Yes, ma'am.
Make it sure, sir. एक ना आप you can do this. जहाँ आप क्यू कार्ड पे अपने hints लिखोगे ना, write down in a big scale second form of the verb. हम second form of the verb को flip कर रहे हैं, present में ला रहे हैं बीच बीच में.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
कुछ एक vocabs थी जो करेक्ट नहीं थी. एक आपने धर्मशाला के साथ द लगाया जो नहीं लगता. सिटीज के साथ कहीं आप द नहीं लगाते. यू यूज द ओनली वेयर only with only the country which is noun of noun, that is like USA, UK, right?
Okay. The
Otherwise
USA.
आप द किसी
Okay.
सिटी या किसी कंट्री के साथ नहीं लगाते. Apart from that, वोकैब में दो एक गलतियां थी. जैसे आपने अभी कहा कि
Hello.
माय स्मॉलर ब्रदर, माय यंगर ब्रदर. गॉट दैट?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
एक आपने कहा कि ही टॉट मी एज हाउ टू बैक द कार, रिवर्स द कार.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just forget the word what to use, so
नो,
I.
आई नो, आई अंडरस्टैंड सर. अभी हम लोग वी कैन यू नो देयर इज स्टिल अ टाइम टू करेक्ट अ फ्यू थिंग्स. कुछ नहीं है. अ बिट ऑफ नर्वसनेस इज देयर. कहीं कहीं लगता है लेकिन इतना कुछ नहीं है. यू आर डूइंग प्रीटी गुड, ट्रस्ट मी. I have recorded the entire session and
Okay,
I'm
ma'am.
sharing it with you the way we record normally. So it's already gone to
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
18.38 seconds. आपका नॉर्मल जो
Okay.
रहेगा ना स्पीकिंग का, वो 14 to 15 मिनट्स का होगा स्पैन.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
राइट?
okay.
तो क्वेश्चंस इतने टफ नहीं पूछेंगे. सिर्फ ये है कि जस्ट कीप योर यू नो यूज योर कॉमन सेंस एंड just keep giving the answers accordingly.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
राइट? आपके पास अनमोल सर का सुप्रीत मैम का है जो उन्होंने अपना फीडबैक दिया था.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I have.
आप वो जरूर एक बारी सुनेगा. मानिक सर का है.
नहीं, मानिक सर का नहीं है feedback.
I'll see if Manik sir has shared. I'm not very sure whether he has shared it or not, and I'll reshare it with you. Give me a
Okay,
minute.
ma'am.
या फिर आप एक काम कर सकते हैं हिमांशु सर. I'll drop. You don't have Manik sir's number with you, right?
No, no, no.
I'll drop his number. You can talk to him directly. He'll give you straight away feedback. क्योंकि उनका आज था speaking का.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
आज ही था शायद. आज था या कल था, कुछ ऐसे ही था. मतलब या तो आज था या तो कल था कुछ. तो you can ask him and he'll help you around in that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, sir, if you want, I can share a bit of what I have taken up some notes. I can click and share some cue cards with you,
Yes,
and
ma'am. Sure,
you can
sure.
share your content with me if ever.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure, sure. Just send me. I'll
Right.
just
And
prepare
I'm
accordingly.
sending you Manik sir's number. I don't think he'll have any issue talking to you about the speaking. You can talk
Okay,
to him. Yeah. ठीक है?
okay, ma'am. I'll speak to him also.
I've shared, sir. I've shared
Okay,
his
thank you,
number.
ma'am.
Anytime, anytime.
Okay, ma'am. I have seen.
Yeah. And in case you have any doubt, drop me a message. You can call me. I'm available, right?
Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, dear. Take care.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Good night.
God
Good night,
bless. And
everyone.
all the best from all
Thank
of
you, ma'am.
us.
Thank you.
God bless. Okay. All right. So we are here with this cue card. Can we just begin up? Gurpreet ma'am, Parveen ma'am, Anugrah ma'am, Urvashi ma'am, Raj sir.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can just allow me a second, I just want to talk to Anugrah ma'am. Anugrah ma'am, can you listen to me? Am I audible to you? मुझे लगता है उनका- Good evening, Anugrah. All right, so who's going to initiate for this cue card?
Gurpreet ma'am.
Yes, Gurpreet ma'am, just a sec. Yes, dear. Let's begin.
Well, I love to. Should I start now?
Yeah, go
Hello.
ahead.
Well, I love to traveling with my friends and with my family, and I love to long drive. And mm, uh, recently I went to a long drive with my friend 2 months ago. It was my Simla trip with my friends, and uh, uh, we started our journey early in the morning because of like bad traffic in the way, and uh, uh, we have 5 hour journey from our hometown to Simla, and I mm, yeah, in between the in the midway we ate uh, our breakfast from the good restaurant, and that was very delicious and according to our choices, and I we stay Simla in a hotel. I learned I learned meditation and yoga, and I learned how to meditate. I'm not I'm not good in meditation, so I learned from my friends, and we went mall road that is very famous in Simla, and also famous for wooden items, and we clicked the photographs there, and
Thank you so much,
we
ma'am. Thank you so much. गुरप्रीत मैम, बहुत impressive नहीं था.
Okay.
I'll give you 6.5 for this. Errors थी, tenses की भी errors थी. एक जो सबसे बड़ा फ्लॉ लग रहा है ना गुरप्रीत मैम, वो ये है कि हम वो कैब बहुत सिंपल रख रहे हैं. मैंने कभी भी फोर्स नहीं किया कि वो कैब हैवी होनी चाहिए या बिग वर्ड्स होने चाहिए या बहुत बोल्डरिंग वर्ड्स होने चाहिए. मैंने कभी भी नहीं कहा, लेकिन बहुत सिंपल भी हो, इससे ऊपर है हम. आई एम वेरी श्योर अबाउट इट,
Okay, ma'am.
राइट?
Ma'am,
तो
I tried, but वो पता नहीं कैसे मेरे से नहीं होता.
नहीं, आपसे होता है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आपसे नहीं होता. इट्स नॉट दैट टफ, इट इज जस्ट दिस डियर कि कहीं कहीं दिक्कतें हैं, वो हमने ठीक करनी है एग्जाम से पहले. दैट्स इट.
Okay, ma'am.
We'll make sure to work on it. I have shared some vocab. Sir has been sharing some vocab. वो जरूर आप देखा करें कि जो जो words हैं. कई बारी अब जैसे अभी हिमांशु से बात कर रहे थे, बहुत simple word था. My small brother taught me as how to drive a car, and he initially told me as how to back the car. अब small brother नहीं होता, younger brother होता है. अब younger बोलने से ही वो sentence का जो the makeup of the sentence was different. We need to be a little particular about the words. That's it. अब ये कोई बहुत बड़े words नहीं है. That he told me to as how to reverse the car. He has taught me as how to reverse the car. तो ये चीजें थोड़ी सी दिमाग में रखनी है. वहां पे अंडर स्ट्रेस नहीं रहना है बिल्कुल भी. उसके लिए क्या करेंगे? उसके लिए आज की डेट में अभी से तैयारी शुरू होगी. अभी से ही हम 60 सेकेंड्स का टारगेट रखें प्रिपेयर का, और 120 सेकेंड्स का टारगेट रखें बोलने का.
ठीक है मैम.
आप बोले कोई नहीं, ठीक हो जाएगा, धीरे धीरे ठीक हो जाएगा. ठीक है?
ठीक है मैम. हाँ जी मैम.
Who's
Thank
going
you.
to go next now? Anugrah ma'am? Urvashi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Urvashi ma'am. Let's begin.
I love to travel a lot. It was my first long drive to Jaipur by car. It took around 12 hours to reach there. Since we were already residing there, it was actually fun time to on the way, and we have not planned not many of halts in the in our tour. But we saw lot many of restaurants and good places on my way, and we stopped for some tea and lunch. We also clicked some photographs, which were now are the part of our memories. This trip was very important for me. This trip was very important for me because firstly, it was a long travel. Then I'm also going to explore new places, which was in the Pink City. It is a very beautiful city. I went there, Amer Fort, Jal Mahal, Hawa Mahal, and as we were residing there, so my first job also after marriage, my first job also was there in the bank. Yes, ma'am. Are you asking me something?
No, I didn't ask you anything, but I want you to speak a bit more.
Yes, ma'am. So it was a new place to explore. That I got my first job after marriage in the bank, and I enjoyed a lot over there. It was such a really big experience for me that I traveled so much, so long, for so long that I got. Sorry, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It just broke rhythm.
You just what?
मैम रिदम एकदम से ब्रेक हो गया बीच में.
उर्वशी मैम, आपका बिगिनिंग मैं आपका रिकॉर्डिंग जो मैंने भेजा ना, आप उसका बिगिनिंग सुनेगा, मिड हाफ सुनेगा और एंडिंग सुनेगा. बिगिनिंग वाज सो ब्यूटीफुल. आई वाज thoroughly impressed. मतलब अगर कोई एग्जामिनर के पास ऐसा हो ना कि वो बिगिनिंग का सुन के ही दे देगा ग्रेड्स बैंड्स, तो मैं 8 दे चुकी होती।
मैम एक्चुअली मेरा बेटा बीच में बोल पड़ा, फिर ना बीच में मुझे माइक में से आवाज आई, मुझे लगा आपने मुझसे कहा स्टॉप इट। ओके
नहीं नहीं, इट्स ओके, it's
सॉरी
okay. These
मैम,
tiny tots, they'll really be around us. They are
रिदम
observing
ब्रेक हो
us.
गया।
They're learning from us. They are observing us. So we need to keep such a good concentration so that they also understand as how to keep good concentration.
यस मैम,
You are
सॉरी
a
मैम,
good
मैं
one.
मेरा
No, no, don't be sorry. It's okay. But you are a good one. My only concern is that you are a good one. So don't just leave it to that.
ओके मैम, आई विल टेक केयर मैम।
मुझे गुड से मतलब ऊपर वाला चाहिए और आप कर सकते हैं इजीली।
Yes, ma'am. I'm preparing daily for this thing only.
Great, great. Raj sir, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Though I am a regular traveler and I have explored multiple parts of the country via my car as well as different modes of transportation. But I would like to talk about one of my recent experience, which gave me some cherished moments. And since from last almost 1 year, we are locked into our houses due to COVID situation. So it was during my wedding anniversary when we suddenly planned for a trip from Chandigarh to Solan. And we hadn't planned anything earlier, but suddenly the day weather was very good. So we thought of going to hills. And in fact, is- since I was working from home, my schedule was quite hectic. But suddenly, this, going to this trip proved to be a stress buster for me. And in fact, we learned a lot of new things on the way. We met a lot of new people on the way, and we took lot many halts. We went to different unseen places during the entire trip. We saw some of the gardens and some of the hills. In fact, we went through the new tunnel which was recently built. Overall, it was very satisfying experience for me. And in fact, to my joy, my wife liked it very much, and my son as well. And because they were also feeling shackled from last 1 year, everybody was stuck at the same place. So overall, we had very good experience. And in fact, we are planning to go there with our family and friends in near future. And
Thank you so much, Raj sir.
yeah, thank you.
I have been working with tiny tots also. और अगर अगर मेरा कोई स्टूडेंट बहुत अच्छा करता था तो I would always tell them high five. So high five for you, sir. Good one.
Thank you.
अच्छा था, बहुत अच्छा था। आप में और उर्वशी मैम में एक जो डिफरेंस मुझे लगा ना सर, वो मुझे मतलब I want to share it right now with both of you. Urvashi ma'am is maybe because she is stuck with so many things in her mind. She has so many things in her mind, probably कि ये काम भी करना है, इधर भी देखना है. Every household lady, like every lady, not household lady, not only homemakers or the one who are working. I'm not talking of them. I'm talking in general. शायद ये हम इंडियन women का एक नेगेटिव पॉइंट है जिसके करके हम शायद बहुत फ्रीली अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाते हैं. This is what probably is what I assessed from both of you. और आप बिल्कुल बिंदास बोले हो, कुछ कहीं रुके नहीं, and your flow of thought was perfect, perfect. उर्वशी मैम ने जब शुरू किया उनका बहुत सुंदर था. उर्वशी मैम आप जरूर सुनना आपने जो the way you began, the way you began,
Yes, ma'am, sure.
you should continue with that flow. right? So
Right,
कोई
ma'am.
कंपटीशन नहीं चल रहा है यहाँ पे कि मैं आपको और राजा को इन कंपटीशन ला रही हूँ, बट आई रियली फेल्ट अ कंट्रास्ट, क्योंकि ऐसा होता है, इवन मी एज अ वर्किंग वुमेन, इवन आई हैव लाइक हम लोग शायद ज्यादा मल्टीटास्किंग हो जाते हैं, बहुत सारी चीजों में दिमाग रहता है, तो जस्ट मेक
Yeah,
श्योर
exactly.
टू free yourself from all that a bit, because right now this is your priority, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Spare that quality time for yourself, you really deserve it. Okay, so who's going to go next? Anugrah ma'am or Parveen ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
Okay,
Start, ma'am.
just a second. Yes, dear, let's begin.
I love drive. I taught drive to my husband. My husband expert the drive to car. I am first drive a long drive into Shimla. I went to Shimla last summer vacation. Sh- I sh- Shimla is a huge city. It's most beautiful place for outing. During drive, I learned a new skill for drive. My husband advised me that always focus on the road, never talk on the mobile phone. My husband taught more new skills to drive. I always remember this trip. I enjoyed the trip with my infant and husband. This trip is most important for me because I see that my infant enjoy a lot of in Shimla. He picked many pictures in Shimla. It's a beautiful memory in our life. I'm done.
Okay, Parveen ma'am, just 57 seconds. कोई बात नहीं, हम करेंगे इसको और improve करेंगे, लेकिन एक चीज आई वांट टू आस्क यू,
Yes,
आप जहाँ एक तो ये मुझे जहाँ आप इसका क्यू कार्ड का हिंट्स लिखते हैं, एक तो वो मेरे को सेंड करें प्लीज एवरीवन. इट्स अ रिक्वेस्ट टू एवरीवन टू सेंड in the group the cue card hints that you have created. I want to see how do you do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So apart from that, content wise ठीक था, एरर्स थी बीच में, टेंसेस की एरर्स थी. मुझे आपकी एक बहुत अच्छी चीज पता है क्या लगी परवीन मैम?
Yes.
मतलब ये आप बिल्कुल फ्लॉ मत समझना अपना, टू
No,
बिगिन
ma'am.
विद, क्योंकि कन्वर्सेशन इतना स्ट्रांग नहीं है, उसको स्ट्रांग
Okay.
करने के लिए आपने वर्ड के एजेस को पिक कर लिया है, कि आप वर्ड का एज जहाँ खत्म होता है वहीं से आप सेकंड सेंटेंस का नया बिगनिंग ले लेते हैं.
Okay, ma'am.
In a way it's good, but we need to improve on that.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So Anugrah ma'am, are you ready? Anugrah ma'am, I hope I'm audible, dear.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
All right, let's begin. Shall we begin, dear?
Yes, ma'am. Nature is very close to human being. It is a priceless creation of God given by human beings. We always should thankful to the God for this. In 2008, we went to Kashmir with my family. My husband driving is very good, so he drives from Firozpur to Kashmir. I also know driving, but I need some confidence and I have to drive more. So I am learning how to drive. When we went Kashmir, we stayed at Patni Top. The hotel was very good. We decided to stay there only. All staff members of that hotel was very cooperative. They were very much welcoming. The environment of that place, Patni Top, is very peaceful, and very close to the nature. From this trip, we enjoyed a lot because now my children grown up and they also enjoyed during driving. Thank you, ma'am.
Anugrah ma'am, you spoke for somewhere around 1 minute, 7 seconds. और improve कर सकते हैं ना? इसमें बहुत सारे points आप बता सकते थे. आप ये भी बता सकते थे that I wanted to drive but somehow because I'm not very comfortable at the main road at the GT road, so I did not drive, but I learned many new skills. I learned as how to keep my focus, how to do the eye-hand coordination. We stopped at many places. We took pictures. We clicked pictures. The way
Yes.
Urvashi ma'am said that now those are the part of memories. So बहुत सारी चीजें और हैं जो आप लिख सकते थे, आप बोल सकते थे. अनुग्रह मैम आप शेयर करेंगे प्लीज जहां आपने लिखा था.
जी मैम.
Thank you. All right, so this is it for speaking as in for today. Writing, I'll not be sharing, I'll not be doing writing task with you today, but I'll be giving it to you in form of your task as your home task, right? Because already we have to do the listening and it will be too late. It's already almost 10. So all I'm going to do is first I'll switch on the battery. Just give me a moment. My laptop is dying. Just all right. So this is the question for the day. We'll just give it a look and see whether we guys can do it or not, because I am very sure that it's a very simple question and you guys can easily do it. That some people think that the news media nowadays have influenced people's lives in negative ways. To what extent do you agree or disagree? अब बहुत सारे लोग कहते हैं कि नेगेटिव वे में इन्फ्लुएंस किया है. क्या आप इस चीज से एग्री करते हो या नहीं एग्री करते हो? जब भी ऐसा लगे कि कोई क्वेश्चन है और टफ लग रहा है, उसको ट्रांसलेट इट इनटू योर ओन mother tongue and you'll be very comfortable at that. You'll be able to generate more ideas, right? So think of it, because ये तो चीजें ऐसी हैं जो आजकल तो हम बहुत ज्यादा I think discuss करी हैं हमने off the late because of COVID and all that. है ना? Because of this pandemic thing, we have really discussed that how much of the hype is created because of the media. Even if the situation is not that worse, they show it as if it's do or die kind of situation. So we can always write it down. I assume. Any queries in this question, sir, ma'am? Anything that you
No,
want to ask in this
Ma'am.
question?
no, it's clear.
Okay, Parveen ma'am, is this okay?
No, ma'am. Infusion matlab effect.
Influenced.
Yes,
Nowadays
ma'am.
have influenced people's lives. हाँ जी, influenced people's life means कि उन पे असर किया है.
Effect.
Effect, yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Affected, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So if you guys are ready, shall I begin up with the listening? Listening, as in for listening, just give me a
Sure.
moment. Anugrah ma'am and Parveen ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
dear listening के लिए you need some hints, or shall I straight away begin with the listening?
No, ma'am. Begin with listening.
Ma'am, I need
Anugrah
some
ma'am?
hint. Yeah, I
You
need
need,
some hint.
you need some hints. Okay. Just give me a moment. It's easy as the same way we did in reading. The same goes with listening. The only thing is for reading, you always have your script in hand. So you can always go back to the script and you can see the answer or you can see the content. But as in for listening, you do not have the script in hand. So obviously you have to pay far more attention for the listening. You have to be on your toes all the time. ठीक है, उसमें आप कुछ भी स्किप करना अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो हम क्या करेंगे, आपका क्वेश्चन का जो कॉम्प्रिहेंशन, जब आपके पास क्वेश्चंस आएंगे तो आपके पास चारों कॉम्प्रिहेंशन के क्वेश्चंस इकट्ठे आएंगे. तो हमने फर्स्ट कॉम्प्रिहेंशन के फर्स्ट 2 या 3 क्वेश्चंस पढ़ने हैं. सबसे पहले क्वेश्चंस का हेडिंग पढ़ना है, उसके बाद रीड आउट फर्स्ट 2-3 क्वेश्चंस एंड देन बाय दैट टाइम लिसनिंग विल बिगिन. They won't ask you whether they should begin up listening or not. The listening will begin in itself, right? Because it's all automated, so it will begin. एक मैं आप सबको रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप अपने वो जो बिग ईयरफोन्स हैं, बिग हेडफोन्स हैं, उन्हीं को ही यूज करके अपने लिसनिंग का डेली प्रैक्टिस करो, क्योंकि वहां पे भी आपको वो बिग ईयरफोन्स ही मिलेंगे, हेडफोन्स ही मिलेंगे. तो ये ना हो कि उस टाइम पे वो चीज अनकंफर्टेबल हो जाए. I had one of my student, Neha ma'am. She was so good. Trust me, like she was excelling in everything. लेकिन वो उससे प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर रहे थे. उन्होंने लिसनिंग का जैसे ही सुना उसमें उस तरह से, तो she just went blank. She, मतलब after her exam, she called me immediately and said that ma'am, I have flunked. I cannot do anything because मेरे को वो उस टाइम पे मेरे बिल्कुल आंखों के आगे अंधेरा छा गया कि मैं क्या करूं. मेरे को 1-2-3 क्वेश्चंस स्किप किए, उसके बाद मुझे कुछ समझ ही नहीं आया कि कौन सा क्वेश्चन चल रहा है और क्या चल रहा है. एंड इट रियली हैपेंस. So make sure that you get yourself those big holding, headphones and practice with those headphones only. For listening, you should do it that way. So coming down to the content, when I'm talking of this, पहले आप क्वेश्चन का हेडिंग रीड करेंगे, उसके बाद आप क्वेश्चंस रीड करेंगे. सारे क्वेश्चंस रीड नहीं करेंगे बिकॉज सारे रीड करने का फायदा नहीं है, सारे याद रहेंगे भी नहीं. तो 2-3 क्वेश्चंस 2-3 पढ़िए, बहुत है. उनके कीवर्ड्स अंडरलाइन कर लीजिए. अगर आप पेपर पेन एग्जाम दे रहे हैं तो अंडरलाइन कर लीजिए. अगर आप कंप्यूटर बेस्ड दे रहे हैं तो हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. यू विल बी हैविंग दैट ऑप्शन ऑफ हाईलाइटिंग, राइट? तो आप अपने कर्सर से हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. उसके बाद प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू कीप अ गुड केयर ऑफ those keywords. अच्छा, एक बात होगा, keywords आपने हाईलाइट तो कर लिए, लेकिन आपके पास लिसनिंग में जरूरी नहीं है कि वो keywords बोले. उनके नियर अबाउट वर्ड्स, उनके सिनोनिम्स, उनको पैराफ्रेज करके वो बोल सकते हैं, वो बोलेंगे, राइट? सो वी नीड टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट द पैराफ्रेजिंग ऑल्सो, राइट? Apart from that, when we do listening, we need to make sure कि जो भी word बोला जा रहा है वो हम absolute लिखें, जो भी spelling बोले जा रहे हैं वो हम absolute लिखें, जो भी date बोली जा रही है वो absolute हो, हमारे spelling errors ना हो, हमारे punctuation errors ना हो, right?
Yes.
I
एक
think
बात क्लियर करनी थी.
yes
Hello.
dear. हाँ जी कहिए.
मैम, आप जैसे कह रहे थे, कल भी आपने बताया था कि रीडिंग में भी कीवर्ड्स अंडरलाइन करनी है.
जी
कैसे कीवर्ड्स अंडरलाइन करने हैं वो नहीं मुझे समझ आया. वो उन्होंने भी नहीं मुझे समझाया था.
मैं समझा देती हूँ. कुछ नहीं है, देखो.
Okay.
अगर एक काम करते हैं, इस क्वेश्चन को ना आई एम जस्ट कीपिंग इट टू बी डन व्हाइल वील बिगिन अप विद द लिसनिंग.
ओके मैम.
ठीक है, क्योंकि मेरे पास यहाँ स्क्रिप्ट नहीं है ना, तो मैं आपको बता नहीं सकती कैसे अंडरलाइन करना है. जस्ट वेट फॉर अ फ्यू मोर मिनट्स एंड आई विल टेल यू. उसके बाद प्लीज स्टे फोकस्ड. इसके अलावा इसका कोई हल नहीं है. कई बारी हम अपना 1-2 क्वेश्चंस 3 क्वेश्चंस भी टम्बल डाउन कर जाते हैं, तो उसके लिए घबराना नहीं है. जस्ट स्टे फोकस्ड, क्योंकि 40 क्वेश्चंस इन ऑल आते हैं. अगर आप 3 क्वेश्चंस भी टम्बल डाउन कर गए तो भी आपके पास 37 है हिट करने के लिए. और जो 3 आपके रह भी गए वो भी क्योंकि आपने पूरा पैसेज सुना है, क्योंकि आपने बाकी के सारे क्वेश्चंस अटेम्प्ट किए हैं, तो यू कैन ऑलवेज अटेम्प्ट दोस 2-3 क्वेश्चंस आल्सो. नेगेटिव मार्किंग तो नहीं है ना यहाँ पे, वो तो है नहीं. तो एटलीस्ट जो आपके रह गए उनको छोड़ के नहीं आना, उनको करके आना है जैसे मर्जी. यू नेवर नो कि कोई हिट एंड ट्रायल में हमारे आंसर्स करेक्ट भी हो सकते हैं. right? So keep a focus on all these things. There is one more thing that I like to tell you. Listening में बहुत बार वो ट्रिक करते हैं. वो क्या करते हैं, पहले कुछ और बोलेंगे, उसके बाद they'll change the answer. Within after 4-5 lines, they'll change the answer. For example, they'll say that, okay, I'm free on Saturday. You book my appointment on Saturday. I'll surely be there at 9 a.m. उसके बाद थोड़ी सी कन्वर्सेशन के बाद, oh my god, what did I say? Saturday 9 a.m. No. I have another appointment. Someone else is coming to see me. I cannot come for this appointment on Saturday. Please fix my new appointment at for Monday. अभी क्या हुआ, सैटरडे से वो शिफ्ट हो गया मंडे पे, लेकिन हम तो अपना आंसर उसको सुन के सैटरडे का टिक कर चुके हैं, राइट? तो प्लीज कीप अ गुड केयर ऑफ दिस, क्योंकि वो इस तरह से आपको ट्रैप करेंगे, राइट? सो कीप अ केयर ऑफ द वर्ड इंडिकेटर्स. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट सिली मिस्टेक्स नहीं करेंगे, स्पेलिंग एरर्स, प्लूरल्स, वर्ड फॉर्म्स, जो कह रहे हैं वही होना चाहिए. There was one thing that today, even when I was there mentoring my another group, आपको इसमें क्वेश्चन आएगा आज की लिसनिंग में, नॉट मोर देन 3 वर्ड्स करके, राइट? अभी कहते तो हैं वो नॉट मोर देन 3 वर्ड्स, लेकिन आंसर स्क्रिप्ट अगर हम चेक करने चले तो बहुत बार नॉट मोर देन 3 वर्ड्स वाले आंसर्स में भी 1 वर्ड आंसर्स दिए हुए हैं. तो हम कोशिश ये करेंगे कि एक ऐसा वर्ड जो पूरे ग्रुप को इंडिकेट कर रहा है, जो अपने आप में सेल्फ सफिशिएंट है, उसके साथ हम फ्रिंजेस अवॉइड करेंगे, एडजेक्टिव्स अवॉइड करेंगे. कोशिश करेंगे कि हम वो जो वर्ड है वो अपने आप में, अगर कंप्लीट वर्ड है तो हम उसके जो साथ के वर्ड्स हैं जो उसको सिर्फ इलेबोरेशन दे रहे हैं उसको अवॉइड करेंगे. इज दिस ओके?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's begin with the listening. परवीन मैम, अभी देखिए आप यहाँ पे मैं आपको बता रही हूँ कि हम कीवर्ड्स कैसे अंडरलाइन करेंगे. अब जैसे आपके पास ये होगा, आपके पास पेंसिल होगी हाथ में, आपके पास इसका हैंड आउट होगा, तो अब हम कैसे अंडरलाइन करेंगे? आपके पास वो मतलब हार्डली 30 सेकेंड्स देंगे क्वेश्चंस रीड करने को, राइट? हमारे पास फर्स्ट 4 ऑन द स्क्रीन 1 है, राइट? 1 वर्ड ओनली. पहले तो 1 वर्ड को अंडरलाइन करोगे आप. दिस इज द फर्स्ट कीवर्ड दैट आई शुड कीप इन माइंड कि एक वर्ड से ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. उसके बाद हार्विक, क्लिनिक, डॉक्टर्स नेम आएगा ना, आ गया यहाँ पे मिस्टर ग्रीन. एडवांटेज, स्पेशली गुड विद, यहाँ पे कोई उनकी स्पेशलिटी आनी चाहिए. द डैश हेल्थ प्रैक्टिस, यहाँ पे किसी इंस्टीट्यूट का नाम आएगा. ऑफर डैश अपॉइंटमेंट, यहाँ पे फ्री अपॉइंटमेंट्स या फिर रिपीटेड अपॉइंटमेंट्स, कुछ ऐसा सा आना चाहिए एडवांटेज में. मेरे को आंसर्स नहीं पता, लेकिन देख के पता चल रहा है कि ऑफर्स डैश अपॉइंटमेंट्स कुछ ऐसे सा आना चाहिए. ये आपका यहाँ पे इस तरह से कीवर्ड आएगा. यहाँ पे डॉक्टर्स नेम, यहाँ पे डॉक्टर का नाम आना चाहिए,
Yes.
है ना?
Yes.
ये तो इजी था, मतलब ये तो आपके कोई गलत होने के चांसेस ही नहीं है. फर्स्ट 10 तो इजी ही है, मैं आगे लेके जा रही हूँ आपको. अच्छा, यहाँ पे इस वाले क्वेश्चन में हम क्या करेंगे, जब इस तरह के कोई क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, मैप वाले क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, तो जस्ट कीप योर, आपके पास इसके हैंड आउट होंगे ना उस टाइम पे, तो आपकी पेंसिल जो है ना आपकी वहीं पे होनी चाहिए जहां से आपका क्वेश्चन शुरू हो रहा है. क्वेश्चन शुरू हो रहा है 11th ब्लैंक से, 3 ही है ना ब्लैंक्स, 11, 12, 13. चूज 3 आंसर्स फ्रॉम द बॉक्स. आपको इन तीनों, चारों, पांचों में से 3 आंसर्स पिक करने हैं, ठीक है? तो अभी जो भी वो 11th पे बोलेंगे उसको उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपने अंडरलाइन कर लेना है. वाटर हीटर के बारे में बात हो रही है, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
तो मेक श्योर कि आप हर चीज को साथ साथ में अटेम्प्ट करते चले, उसको पेंडिंग के लिए नहीं छोड़ेंगे. अब जैसे ये है, इसमें है चूज 5 आंसर्स फ्रॉम द बॉक्स, राइट करेक्ट लेटर A to G नेक्स्ट टू द क्वेश्चन 14 to 18. 14 to 18 में A to G में से कोई आपने 5 आंसर्स पिक करके लिखने हैं, और एक्चुअली में कितने हैं? 7. जो दिए हुए हैं वो 7 है, 5 आपने पिक कर, राइट? तो
Yes.
अभी क्या है, यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे आप, जैसे पिलोज है ना, पिलोज के रिलेटेड कि पिलोज कहाँ पे पड़े हैं या कुछ ऐसा ही होगा, है ना?
Yes, ma'am.
तो अंडर द किचन सिंक या टॉप ऑफ टेलीविजन, बैक डोर, नेक्स्ट टू विंडो इन लिविंग रूम, इन चेस्ट ऑफ ड्रॉर्स, तो कहीं तो होने चाहिए ना पिलोज। तो जब भी आप सुनेंगे तो यू विल हैव टू इवैल्यूएट, और ये स्ट्रेट अवे नहीं बताएंगे आप, इसमें पैराफ्रेजिंग ही होगी मैक्सिमम। अब जैसे यहाँ पे आ जाओ, राइट वन वर्ड एंड और अ नंबर, एक वर्ड से ज्यादा का नहीं होना चाहिए, या एक नंबर होना चाहिए या एक वर्ड होना चाहिए, या एक वर्ड और एक नंबर, ये दो चीजें, दो पॉसिबिलिटीज इस क्वेश्चन में, राइट? नाउ मूविंग अहेड, एमसीक्यूज में इलिमिनेशन ही करनी पड़ेगी, इलिमिनेशन के अलावा और कोई चॉइस नहीं है। टफ लगेंगे, जरूर लगेंगे, बट यू हैव टू डू द इलिमिनेशन, राइट? अब जैसे यहाँ पे है नो मोर देन 3 वर्ड्स एंड और अ नंबर। अब यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे ना, तो जो मैंने आपसे अभी कहा है कि उसके एडजेक्टिव्स निकाल के वो वर्ड आप पिक करोगे, तो वैसे ही करना, राइट? ये भी आपके एमसीक्यूज हैं। सो दिस इज इट। एनी क्वेरीज और शेल वी बिगिन?
Thank you, ma'am.
Shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please check whether the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Section 1.
Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You will hear a man asking for information about health services in the place where he is living. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first. Can I help you?
Yes, I've just moved to this area with my wife and children, and I'd like to know where we can all register with a doctor at a health center.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's Dr. Green at the Harvey Clinic.
The woman says the doctor at the Harvey Clinic is called Dr. Green, so Green has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Can I help you?
Yes, I've just moved to this area with my wife and children, and I'd like to know where we can all register with a doctor at a health center.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's Dr. Green at the Harvey Clinic. We always recommend her for babies because she's very good with them and she runs a special clinic.
Oh, actually, my youngest child is 5, so that wouldn't be any good for us.
Right.
Is there anywhere else I could try?
Yes, the Eshkol Health Practice is the next one on my list.
How do you spell that?
Eshkol. And it's Dr. Fuller who has space on his list. The clinic only opened a year ago, so the facilities are all very modern.
That sounds good.
And it's particularly good if you're busy during the day because they also do appointments in the evening. They're closed on Saturday, though. The only other place on the list is the health centre on Shore Lane. You can register with Dr. Gormley. That's Gormley. He's new there, but the centre has a very good reputation.
Oh, yes. I think I know the road. That would be the best one. Thanks. Could you tell me, will all their services be free?
There are usually some small charges that doctors make. Let me see what it says about the Shore Lane Centre. If you need to be vaccinated before any trips abroad, you won't have to pay for this. What else? The Sports Injury Treatment Service operates on a paying basis, as does the Nutritional Therapy Service. Some health centres do offer alternative therapies like homeopathy as part of their pay-to-use service. Shorelane are hoping to do this soon. I think they may start with acupuncture. And finally, if you need to prove you're healthy or haven't had any serious injuries before a new employer will accept you, you can get a free fitness checkup there. But you'd most likely have to pay for insurance medicals, though.
Okay, thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
You might also be interested to know the centre is running a pilot scheme of talks for patients. I've got the list here. Actually, they look very interesting.
What sort of things?
Well, the first one's about giving up smoking. It's next week, the 25th of February at 7 p.m, and that's in room 4. It says the talk will stress the health benefits, particularly for people with asthma or heart disease.
That sounds very interesting.
There's also a talk for families with children. It's on healthy eating and takes place on the 1st of March at 5 o'clock.
Will that be at the health centre?
Actually, it's at the primary school on Shore Lane. I imagine they're inviting the parents of pupils there. It says here, all welcome.
I might go to that if I have time.
There's a couple of other talks. One giving advice about how to avoid injuries while doing exercise. It's on the 9th of March. Oh, it's a late afternoon talk at 4:30, and it'll be in room 6. It also says the talk is suitable for all ages. And finally, there's a talk called Stress Management, which is on the 20th.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a man who owns a holiday home talking on the phone to a woman who is staying there. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 13. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 13.
Hello?
Hi, it's Laura Carlton here. We've just arrived at the holiday flat, but I can't get the hot water and heating to work.
Oh, right. That's easy. Don't worry. In the upstairs cupboard, you'll find the water heater. You'll see 3 main controls on the left at the bottom of the heater. The first one, the round one on the far left, is the most important one for the heating and hot water. It's the main control switch. Make sure it's in the on position. The switch itself doesn't light up, but the little square below will be black if the switch is off. That's probably what's happened. It's got switched off by mistake. The middle one of these three controls, you'll see it's slightly larger than the first one, controls the radiators. If you feel cold while you're there and need the radiators on, this needs to be turned to maximum. The last of the three controls, the one on the right, is usually on about a number 4 setting, which for the water in the taps is usually quite hot enough. Below the heating controls in the middle is a small round plastic button. If there isn't enough water in the pipes, sometimes the heater goes out. If this happens, you'll need to press this button to reset the heater. Hold it in for about 5 seconds and the heater should come on again. Then there's a little square indicator under the third knob that's a kind of alarm light. It'll flash if you need to reset the heater.
It sounds complicated.
I'm sure you won't have any problems with it. There should be some more instructions on the side of the heater. Call me back if you can't make it work.
Okay.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 14 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 14 to 20.
While you're on the phone, we haven't managed to find a few things we need, like extra pillows for the beds and some washing powder. Is there any here?
Pillows, yes. If you look in the cupboard, the large white one upstairs, to the left of the bathroom door, there should be 4 or 5 on the top shelf. And if you want to do some washing, there's some powder for that, probably by the back door. There's a kind of shelf there above the sink. In fact, I'm sure there's some there in a large blue box. You need about half a cupful for each wash. Oh, and that reminds me. The spare key to the back door is hanging on a hook on the wall by the sitting room window. Please make sure to put it back when you've used it. The previous guest lost it in the garden and I had to get another one made. And if you have any trouble with the lamps, you'll find some spare bulbs in a large cardboard box. It's on top of the washing machine with all kinds of useful things in it. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention when we last spoke.
Yes?
I've left you a local map, so you'll be able to find your way around easily. It shows the whole area. I put it in the top drawer of the chest under the TV in your bedroom. There's a whole file of local information in there too.
Thanks. What about visiting the town? Can you give us any advice?
Yes. You'll need to take the car. It's too far to walk from the flat, really. You have to pay to leave your car in all the car parks now, I'm afraid. I like the one that's by the station best, and you can walk to the town centre from there in 5 minutes. That's where all the best restaurants are. But if you want a takeaway, the Italian one does really good pasta and pizzas. Call 732281 for that one, or 766119 for the Chinese. They're both good, and they'll both deliver to the flat. As for places to visit, yes, do go and see the Railway Museum. The exhibition is small, but really good. It gets very crowded on Sundays, so I suggest you visit it on a quieter day, later in the week, but not on Thursdays, which is market day. You won't find anywhere to park, and it's also the only day of the week when they're not open. Anything else?
Not for the moment. Thanks.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between an English teacher called Paul and a former student of his called Kira. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Kira. How are you?
Fine, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Well, thanks. It's good to see you. It must be 12 months since you did our course.
That's right. It's nice to come back and say hello.
What course did you enroll in?
Actually, I went straight into third-year pharmacy. They credited me with 2 years, which probably made it more difficult for me.
On the other hand, you were lucky to be granted credits. Is that why you chose the course?
Yes, and as I'd already finished a course in it in my country, I thought it would be easier if I studied something I already knew.
I didn't realize you went into third year. I thought you started in first year. No wonder it was so hard. And what do you think is one of the big differences between studying at a university here and studying in your country?
Well, I found it very difficult to write assignments because I wasn't familiar with that aspect of the system here. The main problem is that the lectures expect you to be critical. That made me feel really terrible. I thought, how can I possibly do it? How can I comment on someone else's research when they probably spent 5 years doing it? I think a lot of people who come from overseas countries have similar problems. But after a while, it became easier for me. People expect you to have problems with the process of reading and writing, but in fact, it is more a question of altering your viewpoint towards academic study.
How was the content of the lectures? Was it easy for you?
I didn't really have many problems understanding lectures. The content was very similar to what I'd studied before.
And what about the lecturers themselves? Are they essentially the same as lecturers in your country?
Well, actually, no. Here they're much easier to approach. After every lecture, you can go and ask them something you didn't understand. Or you can make an appointment and talk to them about anything in the course.
Maybe you found them different because you're a more mature student now, whereas when you were studying in your country, you were younger and not so assertive.
No, I don't think that's the difference. Most of the students here do it. In my faculty, they all seem to make appointments, usually to talk about something in the course that's worrying them, but sometimes just about something that might really interest them, something they might want to specialize in. The lecturers must set aside certain times every week when they're available for students.
That's good to hear.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
And how was your timetable? Was it a very busy year?
Oh, very, very busy. They make you work very hard. Apart from lectures, we had practical sessions in a lot of subjects. We did these in small groups. I had to go and work 4 hours every week in a community pharmacy. Actually, I enjoyed this very much, meeting new people all the time. Then in second semester, we had to get experience in hospital dispensaries. So every second day we went to one of the big hospitals and worked there. And on top of all that, we had our assignments, which took me a lot of time. Oh, I nearly forgot. Between first and second semesters, we had to work full-time for 2 weeks in a hospital.
That does sound a very heavy year. So, are you pleased now that you did it? Do you feel some sense of achievement?
Yeah, I do feel much more confident, which I suppose is the most important thing.
And have you got any recommendations for people who are studying from overseas?
Well, I suppose they need very good English. It would be much better if they spent more time learning English before they enter the university, because you can be in big trouble if you don't understand what people are saying and you haven't got time to translate.
Anything else?
Well, as I said before, the biggest problem for me was lack of familiarity with the education system here.
It sounds as if it was a real challenge. Congratulations, Kira.
Thanks, Paul.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a talk about a project on the wildlife found in city gardens in Britain. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning. Today I'd like to present the findings of our Year 2 project on wildlife found in gardens throughout our city. I'll start by saying something about the background to the project, then talk a little bit about our research techniques, and then indicate some of our interim findings. First of all, how did we choose our topic? Well, there are 4 of us in the group, and one day, while we were discussing a possible focus, 2 of the group mentioned that they had seen yet more sparrowhawks, one of Britain's most interesting birds of prey, in their own city centre gardens, and wondered why they were turning up in these gardens in great numbers. We were all very engaged by the idea of why wild animals would choose to inhabit a city garden. Why is it so popular with wildlife when the countryside itself is becoming less so? The first thing we did was to establish what proportion of the urban land is taken up by private gardens. We estimated that it was about 1/5, and this was endorsed by looking at large-scale usage maps in the town land survey office, 24% to be precise. Our own informal discussions with neighbors and friends led us to believe that many garden owners had interesting experiences to relate regarding wild animal sightings. So we decided to survey garden owners from different areas of the city. Just over 100 of them completed a survey once every 2 weeks for 12 months, ticking off species they had seen from a pro forma list, and adding the names of any rarer ones. Meanwhile, we were doing our own observations in selected gardens throughout the city. We deliberately chose smaller ones because they were by far the most typical in the city. The whole point of the project was to look at the norm, not the exception. Alongside this primary research on urban gardens, we were studying a lot of books about the decline of wild animals in the countryside and thinking of possible causes for this. So what did we find? Well, so much that I just won't have time to tell you about here. If you're interested in reading our more comprehensive findings, we've produced detailed graphic representations on the college website. And of course, any of the group would be happy to talk to you about them. Just email us. What we've decided to present today is information about just 3 species, because we felt these gave a good indication of the processes at work in rural and urban settings as a whole. The first species to generate a lot of interesting information was frogs, and there was a clear pattern here. They proliferate where there is suitable water. Garden ponds are on the increase, rural ponds are disappearing, leading to massive migration to the towns. Hedgehogs are also finding it easier to live in urban areas, this time because their predators are not finding it quite so attractive to leave their rural environment, so hedgehogs have a better survival rate in cities. We had lots of sightings, so all in all, we had no difficulties with our efforts to count their numbers precisely. Our final species is the finest of bird singers, the song thrush. On the decline in the countryside, they are experiencing a resurgence in urban gardens because these days gardeners are buying lots of different plants, which means there's an extensive range of seeds around, which is what they feed on. Another factor is the provision of nesting places, which is actually better in gardens than the countryside. Hard to believe it, but it's true. Incidentally, we discovered that a massive new survey on song thrushes is about to be launched, so you should keep an eye open for that. Now, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, dear, please check your answers and then I'll get back to you with that.
Seven wrong.
All right, what about others? Yes, Gurpreet ma'am. Anugrah ma'am.
Seven wrong.
7 wrong. Okay. And Anugrah, ma'am?
Ma'am, 1 minute. Ten wrong.
10 wrong. Okay. All right. So which one are wrong? Which one shall we check on to? Let me just bring that task again for you and see. Yes. For the first 4
Section
answers,
1.
any help needed?
You will
No, ma'am.
All right.
मैम मेरा 5th वन रॉन्ग है, मैंने ए और बी लिखा था, वो
Okay.
ई है, मेरे को वो कंफ्यूजन है वैक्सीनेशन।
All right. Just give me a moment if you can. Just a moment. I'm actually sharing some task with Himanshu Surgeon exam है कल. Just give me a moment. Okay. All right, so let's see. Actually हिमांशु सर का एग्जाम था तो मुझे ये था कि एक बार उनसे शेयर कर लूं कि जो मेरे पास कंटेंट है. All right, so I'm all ears to you now. Tell me, आपका कौन सा आंसर गलत था मैम? आप क्या कह रहे थे? 5th और 6th आंसर गलत था?
नहीं मैम, मैंने 2 लिखा था ए और बी, बट वो बी और सी है, वो मेरे को वैक्सीनेशन का क्लियर नहीं हुआ।
आपका कौन सा नहीं क्लियर हुआ? 5th का?
5th और 6th।
5th and 6th ना? हाँ जी, मैं 1 मिनट प्ले करती हूँ.
As the nutritional therapy service. Some health centres do offer alternative therapies like homeopathy as part of their pay-to-use service. Shoreline are hoping to do this soon. I think they may start with acupuncture. And finally, if you need to prove you're healthy or haven't had any serious injuries before a new employer will accept you, you can get a free fitness checkup there. But you'd most likely have to pay for insurance medicals though.
Okay, thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation,
मैं रिपीट कर रही हूँ, आप एक बारी दोबारा सुनिएगा 5th और 6th.
Healthy or haven't had any serious injuries before alternative therapies like homeopathy as part of their pay-to-use service.
Pay to use service means उसके पैसे देने पड़ेंगे. Question जो है इसमें कीवर्ड हमारा क्या आएगा? Free of 2 services which are free of charge. है ना? ये हमारा कीवर्ड होगा. अब हम देखेंगे.
Alternative therapies like homeopathy as part of their
Pay to
pay-to-use
use
service.
homeopathy वो नहीं आएगा इसका, right?
हाँ जी।
Shoreline are hoping to do this soon. I think they may start with acupuncture. And finally, If you need to prove you're healthy or haven't had any serious injuries before a new employer will accept you, you can get a free fitness
Free
checkup.
fitness checkup,
Employment medical. ये आ
right?
गया समझ।
जी.
There, but you'd most likely have to pay for insurance medicals though.
Okay, thanks.
Accept you, you can get a free fitness checkup there, but you'd most likely have to pay for insurance medicals though.
Okay, thanks.
कुछ हम मिस कर गए हैं क्या पीछे?
Have to pay for this.
Thanks. Could you tell me, will all their services be free?
Closed on Saturday though. The only other place on the list is the health centre on Shore Lane. You can register with Dr. Gormley. That's Gormley. He's new there, but the centre has a very good reputation.
Oh, yes. I think I know the road. That would be the best one. Thanks. Could you tell me, will all their services be free?
There are usually some small charges that doctors make. Let me see what it says about the Shore Lane Centre. If you need to be vaccinated before any trips abroad, you won't have to pay for this.
Oh, could you?
Okay.
Hannah?
Yes.
Vaccination.
Yes.
If you have to go abroad, you wouldn't be paying for it.
Yes, ma'am. Now I got. हाँ जी।
अच्छा,
है, ma'am.
अभी
Thank you.
7th से 10th के बीच में कोई क्वेरी है?
मेरा नहीं है मैम। मेरा टिल 13 कोई क्वेरी नहीं।
7th से 10th में तो कोई क्वेरी नहीं है मैम?
नहीं।
ओके. 11th to 13th में?
12, 13, 14 and 15.
Okay. We'll see to it.
Hello?
Hi, it's Laura Carlton here. We've just arrived at the holiday flat, but I can't get the hot water and heating to work.
Oh, right. That's easy. Don't worry. In the upstairs cupboard, you'll find the water heater. You'll see 3 main controls on the left at the bottom of the heater.
अच्छा, अब 3 main controls on the left of the bottom of the heater. है ना? 3 main controls on the left of the bottom of the heater. यहाँ पे.
The first one, the round one on the far left, is the most important one
First
for the
one,
heat.
the far left. Far left जो है वो यही वाला है ना, 11th वाला. है ना? आप देख रहे हैं मेरा कर्सर कहाँ जा रहा है? अब देखिए.
Heating and hot water. It's the main
जो
control
main
switch.
control switch होगा वो on or off का ही होगा ना?
हाँ जी मैम।
Make sure it's in the on position. The switch itself doesn't light up, but the little square below will be black if the switch is off. That's probably what's happened. It's got switched off by mistake. The middle one of these 3 controls, you'll see it's slightly larger than the first one, controls the radiators. If you feel cold while you're there and need the radiators on, this needs to be turned to maximum. The last of the 3 controls, the one on the right, is usually on about a number 4 setting, which for the water in the taps is usually quite hot enough.
13th जो है वो it is a warning indicator which says अगर पानी बहुत गर्म है तो it will change the color or it will be giving some indications.
Below the heating is a small round plastic button. If there isn't enough water in the pipes, sometimes the heater goes out. If this happens, you'll need to press this button to reset.
अब अगर ये वाला जो है यहाँ पे इसके नीचे एक छोटा प्लास्टिक का बटन है जो कि हम रीसेट करने के लिए यूज करते हैं. उसने कहा ना अगर पानी बहुत गर्म है तो उसको हम क्लिक कर सकते हैं to reset the heat.
The heater. Hold it in for about 5 seconds. Enough water in the pipes. Sometimes the heater goes out. If this happens, you'll need to press this button to reset the heater. Hold it in for about 5 seconds and the heater should come on again.
All right, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Rest of the conversation.
14th गलत था आपका?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any here?
Pillows, yes. If you look in the cupboard, the large white one upstairs, to the left of the bathroom door, there should be 4 or 5 on the top shelf.
पिलोज का उन्होंने सबसे पहले ही कबर्ड के बारे में बात करी है.
And if you want to do some washing, there's some left of the bathroom door. There should be 4 or 5 on the top shelf. If you look in the cupboard,
14 to 20.
Need, like,
if you look in the cupboard, the large white one upstairs, if you look in the cupboard,
need, like extra pillows for the beds and some washing powder. Is there any here?
pillows, yes. If you look in the cupboard, the large white one upstairs, to the left of the bathroom door, there should be 4 or 5 on the top shelf.
14th is okay.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
अब 15th से 18th 15th से 20th तक क्या क्वेरी है?
मेरा कोई नहीं है.
आपके ठीक है मैम? गुरप्रीत मैम?
मेरे
अनुग्रह
सारे
मैम?
ठीक है मैम.
ठीक है जी, गुड गुड. अनुग्रह मैम?
मैम 39 and 40.
अच्छा, अब ये सारे ठीक हैं आपके?
हाँ जी.
ओके. गुरप्रीत मैम?
ठीक है मैम.
ओके. अच्छा, 21st से 25th में कोई क्वेरी नहीं है किसी को? 26 से 30th तक?
मैम 30th क्वेरी है मेरा.
अच्छा.
Feel much more confident, which I suppose is the most important thing.
And have you got any recommendations for people who are studying from overseas?
Well, I suppose they need very good English. It would be much better if they spent more time learning.
3. You now have half a minute.
Lack of familiarity. Better if they spent more time learning English before they enter the university, because you can be in big trouble if you don't understand what people are saying and you haven't got time to translate.
Anything else?
Well, as I said before, the biggest problem for me was lack of familiarity with the education system here.
It sounds as if it was a real...
30th पता चला मैम?
हाँ जी मैम. हो गया, समझ आ गया.
All right. 31st से 40th तक कोई क्वेरी?
मैम 31, 32 रॉन्ग है. बाकी सारे
ठीक है जी.
Discussing a possible focus, two of the group... Well, there are 4 of us in the group, and one day, while we were discussing a possible focus, 2 of the group mentioned that they had seen yet more sparrowhawks.
31st जो है आपका क्वेश्चन है, what led the group to choose their topic?
One of Britain's most interesting... Well, there are 4 of us in the group, and one day, while we were discussing a possible focus, 2 of the group mentioned that they had seen yet more sparrowhawks, one of Britain's most interesting birds of prey, in their own city centre gardens, and wondered why they were turning up in these gardens in great numbers. We were all very engaged by the idea of why wild animals would choose to inhabit a city garden.
So 31st का क्या आंसर आएगा? As per you?
मैंने तो ऐसे ही मतलब ऐसे लिखा था, बट अभी मुझे समझ आ गया. They wanted to investigate recent.
Exactly.
हाँ, अभी मुझे समझ आया. वो पूरा घुमा के बात कर रहे थे तो समझ नहीं आया.
जी. बिल्कुल. 32nd भी है मैम?
हाँ जी मैम, मेरा 32.
Why is it so popular with wildlife when the countryside itself is becoming less so? The first thing we did was to establish what proportion of the urban land is taken up by private gardens. We estimated that it was about 1/5, and this was endorsed by looking at large-scale usage maps in the town land survey office.
Large scale usage map हम किस चीज को बोलेंगे? Consulting some official documents. Right?
No, I'm not getting that.
Yeah. हाँ?
मेरे को नहीं समझ आया मैम.
नहीं पता चला, हम दोबारा.
Of the urban land is taken up by private gardens. We estimated that it was about 1/5, and this was endorsed by looking at large-scale usage maps in the town land survey office, 24% to be precise. Our own informal discussions with neighbors and friends led us to believe that many garden owners had interesting, to be precise, in great numbers. We were all very engaged by the idea of why wild animals would choose to inhabit a city garden. Why is it so popular with wildlife when the countryside itself is becoming less so? The first thing we did was to establish what proportion of the urban land is taken up by private gardens. We estimated that it was about 1/5, and this was endorsed by looking at large-scale usage maps in the town land survey office, 24% to be precise.
30 सेकंड समझ आया मैम?
आ गया मैम।
जी, अब कौन सा गलत है?
अभी कोई नहीं है।
Everyone's clear with everything now?
मैम 39 और 40।
Ma'am, 38, 39.
We'll just do it once. 38 and 39, right?
Yes.
They proliferate where they're so much that I just won't have time to tell you about here. If you're because funds are on the increase, rural ponds are disappearing, leading to massive migration to the towns. Hedgehogs are also finding it easier to live in urban areas, this time because their predators are not finding it quite so attractive to leave their rural environment.
हाँ जी, 38 का पता चला?
No, ma'am.
जो बोल रहा है that hedgehogs will be safer from the predators. आप सुनिए.
To live in urban areas, this time because their predators are not finding it quite so attractive to leave their rural environment.
All right, dear?
Yes,
या
ma'am.
नहीं?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Okay. आपकी जो normal pronunciation और इनकी pronunciation में फर्क तो होगा obviously.
So hedgehogs have a better survival rate in cities. We had lots of sightings, so all in all, we had no difficulties with our efforts to count their numbers precisely.
39th is okay?
No, ma'am.
No? Because it's
No.
easy to count the
Easy to
hedgehogs.
Count the हाँ.
Live in urban areas, this time because their predators are not finding it quite so attractive to leave their rural environment. So hedgehogs have a better survival rate in cities. We had lots of sightings, so all in all, we had no difficulties with our efforts to count their numbers precisely. Our final species is the finest of bird singers, the song thrush. On the decline in the countryside, they are experiencing a resurgence in urban gardens because these days gardeners are buying lots of different plants are on the increase, rural ponds are disappearing, leading to massive migration to the towns.
Yes, your answers are clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
40,
Any
ma'am.
query, anybody?
40.
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch you.
40. Question 40.
Question 40th. Okay. I'm sorry. कुछ सुना नहीं था उस टाइम पे. आप क्या just okay.
Is the provision of nesting places, which is actually better in gardens than the countryside. Hard to believe it, but it's true. Incidentally, we discovered that a massive new survey on song thrushes is about to be launched, so you should keep an eye open for that. Now, I'd be happy to answer, is the provision of nesting places, which is actually better in gardens than the countryside. Hard to believe it, but it's true. Incidentally, we discovered that a massive new survey on song thrushes is about to be launched, so you should keep an eye open for that. Now, I'd be happy to answer.
You couldn't find your 40th?
No.
Okay.
All in all, we had no difficulties with our efforts to count their numbers precisely. Our final species is the finest of bird singers, the song thrush. On the decline in the countryside, they are experiencing a resurgence in urban gardens because these days gardeners are buying lots of different plants, which means there's an extensive range of seeds. Experiencing a resurgence in urban gardens because these days gardeners are buying lots of different plants, which means there's an extensive range of seeds around, which is what they feed on.
Extensive range. Gardeners are buying the places, more of the places. This means the things that grow there that has extensive range of seed or seeds at that time.
The song thrush. On the decline in the countryside, they are experiencing a resurgence in urban gardens because these days gardeners are buying lots of different plants, which means there's an extensive range of seeds around, which is what they feed
All right,
on.
dear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this was it for today. See you tomorrow, same time. Any queries you can ask.
No, ma'am. Good night.
Okay, dear. Fine. All right, dear. Then bye
Okay.
for
Good
now.
night,
Take
ma'am.
care. Yeah. God bless.
Okay, ma'am. Good night.
Okay, dear.